I thought moving into our dream home would be the start of something beautiful. Sarah and I had just closed on a two-story house in a quiet suburb 30 miles from the chaos we left behind. She was 3 months pregnant with our first child, glowing with that mix of excitement and nervousness that comes with building a family. We needed space, we needed peace, and we needed distance from my family, especially from my brother Derek. He had always been troubled, always a little too intense, but I never imagined what he was capable of. That first night in our new home, I heard something outside our bedroom window, a scraping sound, a shadow moving across the yard. I had no idea that my own blood was watching us from the shadows, and my mother was helping him every step of the way. Before I dive into what happened that night, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever felt betrayed by family, hit that like button. You are not alone. And subscribe, because this story shows that sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. Now, let me take you back to how this nightmare began. I met Sarah 3 years ago at a coffee shop where she worked as a barista. She had this long brown hair that caught the morning light, and when she smiled, it felt like the whole room got warmer. She was into art, always sketching in her notebook between customers, and she had this independent streak that drew me to her immediately. We were married 2 years ago in a small ceremony, just close friends and a few family members. Sarah worked as a freelance graphic designer, and I was a software engineer. We were a solid team. We respected each other, supported each other, loved each other in that quiet, steady way that does not need constant validation. When Sarah got pregnant, we knew our tiny apartment would not cut it anymore. We started house hunting, dreaming about nurseries and backyard barbecues. The house we found was perfect. White picket fence, mature trees lining the street, enough space for our growing family. It felt like the universe was finally aligning for us. My brother Derek is 2 years older than me. Growing up, we were close. He taught me how to ride a bike, how to throw a football, how to stand up to the neighborhood bullies. But when our father died, I was 15 and Derek was 17. Something in him shifted. He became withdrawn, obsessive, unable to hold down jobs. He moved back in with our mother Linda and never really left. Mom always defended him, always said he just needed time to find himself. Derek never had a serious girlfriend. He lived alone in his head, isolated from the world. 6 months before we moved into the new house, we had a family dinner at Mom's place. It was one of those obligatory gatherings I could not avoid without causing drama. Derek showed up, which was rare. He usually found excuses to skip these things. But that night, he was there, and he met Sarah for the first time. The way he looked at her made my skin crawl. It was not just a glance. It was a stare unblinking, like he was memorizing every detail of her face. He asked her questions that felt too personal. What time did she wake up? What were her favorite flowers? Did she ever feel lonely? Sarah tried to stay polite, but I could see the discomfort in her eyes. She kept shifting in her seat, looking at me like she wanted to leave. I noticed, but I told myself Derek was just awkward around women. He did not know how to socialize. When I mentioned it later, Mom jumped to his defense. Derek just does not know how to talk to women. Do not make it weird, Alonso. That phrase echoed in my head for weeks. Do not make it weird. Like I was the problem for noticing. After dinner, Sarah grabbed my hand in the car. Your brother makes me uncomfortable. The way he looks at me, it is like he is studying me. I promised her we would limit contact with Derek. I thought that would be enough. But 2 months later, Derek started showing up places Sarah frequented. The coffee shop where she worked, the grocery store she preferred, the park where she went for walks. At first, Sarah thought it was coincidence. Then it kept happening. She told me, and I felt that knot of dread in my stomach, but I did not have proof. I called Derek. "Are you following Sarah?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Are you serious?" He laughed. "I live in this neighborhood too. It is a coincidence. You are being paranoid." Then Mom called me furious. "How dare you accuse your brother? He is trying to be part of this family and you push him away." She made me feel guilty, like I was the villain for protecting my wife. So I backed off. I told myself I was overreacting. That is when Sarah and I decided to move. We did not say it out loud, but part of the reason was to get away from Derek. We found the house 30 miles away, far enough that random encounters would be impossible. We did not tell Derek the address. Only Mom knew because she wanted to send gifts for the baby. When we told her we were moving, she was furious. "You are moving so far away. How will I see my grandchild?" She made it about her like she always did. But we held firm. We needed this distance. I thought distance would solve everything. I was so wrong. The first 2 weeks in the new house were bliss. Sarah and I painted the nursery a soft yellow. We assembled the crib together, laughing when we realized we had put the side panel on backwards. We planted flowers in the front yard, and every evening we walked around the neighborhood imagining our future. Sarah seemed lighter, happier. She smiled more. She stopped looking over her shoulder. I let myself believe we were finally safe. "We are finally free," I told her one night as we sat on the porch watching the sunset. She squeezed my hand and nodded. For the first time in months, I slept through the night without nightmares. Then, in the third week, Sarah noticed a car, a gray sedan parked at the end of our street. It was there in the morning when she left for a walk. It was there in the afternoon when she came back from the store. She tried to get close enough to see the license plate, but the car drove off before she could. She took a picture of it from a distance, but the image was too blurry to make out details. One morning, Sarah found footprints in our backyard, fresh prints in the dirt beneath our bedroom window. They were too large to be hers, too recent to be from before we moved in. Then there were the flowers, a bouquet of lilies left on our doorstep, no card, no name. Lilies were Sarah's favorite. I had told maybe 3 people that fact in my entire life. Mom knew, Derek knew. I checked the security cameras we had just installed, but they had blind spots. The backyard was not fully covered. I called the police non-emergency line. They sent an officer who took notes, walked around the yard, and told us there was not much they could do without evidence of a crime. "Keep an eye out," he said. "Call us if anything else happens." That is when Mom started calling more often. She would ask questions that seemed normal on the surface but felt invasive the more I thought about them. "What time does Sarah go to the grocery store? Is she home alone during the day when you are at work? Have you installed that security system yet? I thought she was just being an overprotective grandmother-to-be." Sarah was less convinced. "Why does she need to know all these details?" Sarah asked one night after Linda called for the 3rd time that week. "It feels like she is gathering information." I dismissed it. "She is just worried about you, about the baby." But even as I said it, I felt doubt creeping in. Then Linda asked a question that made my blood run cold. "How is Sarah handling being alone? Does she ever feel watched?" It was too specific, too pointed. I confronted her gently. "Mom, why are you asking these things? I am just worried about you two. Is that a crime?" Her defensiveness felt like confirmation, but I had no proof. Not yet. In the 2nd month at our new house, things escalated. Sarah received a text from an unknown number. "You look beautiful in that yellow dress." She had worn that exact dress that morning. Nobody knew except me, and I had been at work all day. Someone had seen her. Someone had been watching. A few days later, Sarah's favorite scarf disappeared from the backyard clothesline. She had hung it out to dry in the morning. By afternoon, it was gone. No wind could have carried it away. Someone took it. Then I found the camera. A tiny device hidden in the bushes near our living room window, angled perfectly to see inside. I pulled it out with shaking hands. This was not paranoia. This was real. Sarah broke down when I showed her. Who would do this? Who hates us this much? We called the police again. This time, they took it seriously. They bagged the camera, dusted for prints, promised to investigate. I hired a security company to upgrade our system. More cameras, motion sensors, floodlights that activated automatically. I took time off work to stay home with Sarah. She was terrified to be alone. One night, I woke to a noise outside. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the camera app. There, in grainy night vision, was a figure trying to pry open a first-floor window. I called 911, then turned on every light in the house and shouted. The figure ran. Police arrived within 5 minutes. They found a crowbar and a glove left behind in the panic. I reviewed the footage over and over. I enhanced the image, adjusted the brightness, zoomed in, and then I saw it. The build, the gait, the way the person moved, it was unmistakable. It was Derek. Sarah collapsed when I told her, "Your own brother, how could he?" She sobbed into my chest while I held her, feeling like my entire world was crumbling. My own flesh and blood had been terrorizing my wife, the woman carrying my child. I was about to discover that the betrayal ran deeper than I ever imagined. I drove to Derek's apartment the next morning. He lived in a small place with Mom, 2 bedrooms on the second floor of an old building. I pounded on the door until he opened it. He looked surprised to see me, but not scared. That should have been my first clue. I shoved my phone in his face, showing him the footage. "This is you. I know it is you. You have been stalking Sarah. You have been watching our house. What is wrong with you?" I expected denial. I expected him to make excuses to gaslight me like he always did. Instead, he smiled. Not a nervous smile, but something cold and satisfied. "Sarah should have been mine. You do not deserve her. You are always working ignoring her. I would worship her." My stomach turned. "You are insane." He kept talking, his voice calm and measured. "I have been watching her since that dinner at Mom's. She is perfect, Alonzo. The way she moves, the way she talks, the way she tilts her head when she is thinking. You do not even notice these things. But I do. I see her. I know what she needs." I was going to hit him. My fist was clenched ready. But then he said something that stopped me cold. "Mom understands. She knows Sarah would be happier with someone who truly loves her." My breath caught. "What did you just say about Mom?" Derek's face changed. He realized he had said too much. He went quiet, looking away. But the damage was done. I left without another word and drove straight to Mom's house. Linda was in her kitchen when I arrived, making tea. Like this was a normal Tuesday. I did not ease into it. "Did you help Derek? Did you tell him where we live, what our schedule is? Did you help him stalk my wife?" She denied it at first, shaking her head, acting offended. But I did not back down. I told her I would go to the police, that Derek had already incriminated her. Finally, she cracked. The truth came spilling out, and it was worse than I imagined. Linda had been feeding Derek information for months. She told him when Sarah went grocery shopping, when I left for work, where the security cameras had blind spots. She thought Sarah and Derek were better suited for each other, because Derek needed someone to take care of him, and I already had a good job and could find someone else. You have a good job, you will find someone else. But Derek needs Sarah. He is obsessed, Alonso. If he does not have her, I am afraid what he might do. She said this like it was reasonable, like I should understand. She was choosing my disturbed brother over my pregnant wife's safety. Then came the worst part. She admitted she had given Derek a key to our old apartment back when we still lived there, so he could be near Sarah. She also told him which parts of our new security system were vulnerable. My own mother had been helping my brother terrorize my wife. You are my mother. How could you help him hurt my wife? My voice broke. I am helping both my sons. You will understand when you are a mother. She paused, then added, "Oh wait, Sarah is having your baby. Maybe I can help Derek find someone else then." That was it. I walked out and never looked back. The next day I met with a lawyer. We filed for a restraining order against Derek. I reported Linda's involvement to the police. They opened a formal investigation. Derek was called in, questioned, warned. The restraining order was granted. He was not allowed within 500 feet of Sarah or me. I upgraded our security again. Smart locks, 360-degree cameras, and alarm system that connected directly to the police station. I hired a private security company to patrol our neighborhood at night. I took a leave of absence from work to stay home and protect Sarah. But Derek was not done. A week after the restraining order, he made his final move. It was 3 in the morning when I heard the sound. I was not asleep. I had been awake watching the cameras on my phone, anticipating something. Sarah was in the safe room upstairs, a reinforced bedroom we had prepared for exactly this scenario. Derek was at the back door, prying it open with tools. I had already called the police before he got inside. They were on their way. But I was not going to wait. I grabbed a baseball bat and positioned myself in the hallway at the top of the stairs. Derek got the door open. He stepped inside carrying a duffel bag. Later, police found rope duct tape and a knife inside it. He moved through the house quietly, heading for the stairs. When he reached the top, I turned on the lights. "Get out of my house, Derek!" He looked at me with wild eyes, no longer calm, no longer collected. "She is supposed to be with me. Mom said she would help me. Where is she?" He lunged at me. I swung the bat, connecting with his ribs. He stumbled, grabbed my shirt, and we struggled. I pushed him hard, and he fell backwards down the stairs, tumbling until he hit the bottom. That is when the police burst through, the front door, guns drawn. Derek was arrested on the spot. Breaking and entering attempted assault violation of a restraining order. In his car, they found photographs of Sarah, maps of our house, and detailed plans for what he intended to do. During the investigation, police uncovered text messages between Linda and Derek. She had been planning this with him step by step. She even promised to lure Sarah out alone if necessary. Linda was arrested for conspiracy to commit stalking and attempted kidnapping. I refused to bail her out. Derek was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Linda got 2 years probation, mandatory psychological counseling, and a no-contact order with Sarah and me. Justice was served, but it did not erase what they had done. We were free from Derek and Linda, but the scars they left would take time to heal. The first week after Derek's arrest was a blur. Sarah barely slept. She had nightmares every night, waking up screaming, convinced someone was in the house. I would hold her until she calmed down, whispering reassurances that felt hollow, even to me. She jumped at every sound, every shadow. Post-traumatic stress had taken root in her, and I felt responsible. This was my family, my brother, my mother. I had brought this chaos into her life. I blamed myself for not seeing it sooner, for dismissing her fears, for trusting Linda when every instinct told me something was wrong. We started seeing a therapist together, someone who specialized in trauma. The sessions were hard. Sarah cried through most of them. I sat there feeling helpless, wishing I could undo everything. But slowly, week by week, the therapist helped us rebuild a sense of safety. She taught Sarah grounding techniques for her anxiety and helped me process the guilt I carried. 2 months after the arrest, Sarah went into labor. It was early morning, and I drove her to the hospital with my hands shaking on the wheel. 12 hours later, we were holding our son. We named him Lucas. Not a family name, nothing tied to my past. Just a fresh start, a name that belonged only to him. When I held Lucas for the first time, something shifted in me. Family was not about blood. It was about who you chose to protect, who you chose to love. And I chose Sarah and Lucas above everything. Sarah recovered slowly, but Lucas gave her purpose. She threw herself into motherhood, finding joy in the small moments. His first smile, his tiny fingers gripping hers, the way he looked at her with complete trust. It was healing for both of us. We were building something new, something untainted by the past. We decided to stay in the house. Leaving felt like letting Derek and Linda win, like admitting they had the power to drive us away. So we renovated. We repainted every room, bought new furniture, tore up the old carpet, and laid down hardwood floors. The backyard became a play area for Lucas with a swing set and sandbox. We made the house ours, erasing every trace of the nightmare that had happened there. I built new friendships, people who did not know my history, who saw me as just Alonzo, a husband and father. Sarah went back to work part-time, designing from home while Lucas napped. She started to laugh again, really laugh, the kind that made her whole face light up. We joined a support group for stalking victims, and Sarah found strength in helping others who were going through what she had survived. The hardest part was accepting that I would never have a relationship with Linda again. I did not visit her during probation. I did not take her calls. At first, it felt like tearing off a limb. She was my mother. But then I realized that a mother who helps someone harm your wife is not a mother worth having. I cut Derek out completely. No letters, no visits, no second chances. Some people do not deserve forgiveness, and I made peace with that. I learned that toxic people do not get a pass just because you share DNA. Love that hurts you is not love. Boundaries are not cruel. They are survival. And choosing my wife and son over my blood relatives was the easiest decision I ever made. Sarah and I talk about it sometimes late at night when Lucas is asleep. We talk about how close we came to losing everything, how differently things could have gone. But we also talk about how strong we are now, how we survived, how we built a life worth protecting. We are not the same people we were before. We are harder, wiser, more careful, but we are also more grateful for what we have. I learned that blood does not define family. Loyalty and love do. I learned to trust my instincts and Sarah's instincts even when other people try to convince us we are wrong. I learned that protecting your peace means cutting off toxic people even if they are family. And I learned that no one, not even your own mother, should make you doubt your instinct to protect the person you love. Some people will say, I should forgive that family is forever. But I learned that forever means nothing if it is built on manipulation and harm. Sarah and Lucas are my family now, and I will protect them with everything I have. If you are going through something similar, know this. You are not crazy for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for choosing safety. You are strong. What would you do if you had to choose between blood and the person you love? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and realize they are not alone. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because I share more real-life experiences like this one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Sometimes one story can change everything. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it was not easy to hear, but I hope it reminded you that you have the right to protect yourself and the people you love, no matter who tries to stop you. Stay safe out there, set your boundaries, and never let anyone convince you that your peace does not matter. Take care.